Check, check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cracker. Sorry, I'm eating a cracker. Okie dokie, let's start. Good morning, friends. Good afternoon. Welcome back to Zine Dreams. I'm Jenn de la Vega. This is an exploration of independent zines and commercial magazines, how they're structured, made, the tips for curation, and other ways to express yourself with printed media. Last time on Zine Dreams, we looked at Edible Ohio Valley from 2011. And the Vibrant India Cookbook by Chitra Agrawal. Those were great. You can catch up on all the clips and highlights from last time's stream if you click on videos. You can also look at the full archive at youtube.com/JENNDLV. You can subscribe there, or hello to you in the future if you are watching on YouTube. I'm also here on Wednesdays at 5 p.m. That's where I answer cooking questions, but today is mostly an unscripted skim of what I've been reading lately. Great news, I'm a Twitch affiliate. You can check out all the fun little links below this stream, but it is September, I'm obligated to say, on Twitch. Subscriptions are 30% off this month. Subscriptions help your favorite streamers make a little bit of pocket change for all the work that we do to put these streams on. It's a very nice way to give back. But if not, there are tons of links to support us, share our social media or projects and things like that. All that is below the video you see here. What else? How are you? How is your Sunday treating you? Yeah, my wild hair look in action. I've been putting it in a bun lately, but I wasn't looking in a mirror this morning when I was part way through, and I was losing grip of the headband, not the headband, but the hair tie I was using, and I was like, well, why don't I just fasten it where it is? And I looked in the mirror and I was like, this is crazy. I like it. Thank you. Good morning, Martin. Good morning, Lucius. Good morning, my Not 8-bit. Today, I'm going to go over this very short edible Iowa River Valley. So like last week we looked at the Ohio River Valley, which was very cute in the way that it was composed, and like, I don't know, I just really admired this like very small, like tight-knit community sharing news with each other, and it's cool. So we're going to take a look at Iowa. And then, this is a heavy one, and I've had it for a while, but never actually, like, looked into it. But it is his Bright Ideas from a company called Seed and Spark. If you're familiar with Kickstarter and crowdfunding, Seed and Spark is a crowdfunding website specifically for film. So I was trying to remember, like, where I got this, and I remembered, oh, I got this at Sundance the one year that I went. But we'll talk about that when we get there. Yes, there are so many edibles. Edible is like a really interesting publication. I don't believe they're printing anymore, but they have like a very similar style that was like very easily replicated by regional editors, and so they have this overarching like share local advertisements, do local features, and like farmers market stuff, and so every like major food community it was able to like start one, which is cool. Yeah, there is a thing about Kickstarter for film. Yeah, it's pretty cool. We'll talk about like how their community is structured and like what's different about it when we get there. But yeah, it's really cool. I actually have a friend who works at Seed and Spark, which is dope. So this is a really short one. Actually, no. I have a third thing I forgot. There's an article I just read this morning that I wanted to share with you. It's by, it was an interview with Martin Sheldrake, who just wrote a book about mushrooms. Let me see if I can get these screenshots up for you. Where is it? Here. This was in Scientific American, a poetic, mind-bending tour of the fungal world. Author Merlin Sheldrake shows how this neglected kingdom is essential for life on Earth. This is cool. Look at that image. This guy also, like, during his book launch, or for his book launch, he inoculated a copy of his book with mushrooms. And so mushrooms were like, growing out of the book. This guy's cool. So here's some excerpts here. Learning about these relationships made the world look different. At high school, I had been taught to think of plants as autonomous individuals, but they turned out to be the product of a complex tangle of relationships. Mycorrhizal fungi are more ancient part of planthood than wood, leaves, flowers, or even roots. What we call plants are really algae that have evolved to farm fungi, and fungi that have evolved to farm algae, and their ancient relationship lies at the base of the food chains that sustain nearly all life on land. This was and remains a huge thought for me. Let's see, let me get this. I'm yet to emerge from this tangled inquiry and imagine that fungi have received a tiny fraction of the attention given to animals or plants, and we're only just beginning to understand this mind-bending kingdom of life. And then he goes on to explain, this is a really cool thought. Today, many argue that it is less helpful to think about whether organisms are intelligent or not, and more productive to ask what degree an organism, or indeed a computer, might display intelligent behaviors. There are a variety of different definitions in circulation. Most refer to the ability of an organism to receive and process information from their environment, solve problems, adapt to new situations, and make choices between alternative courses of action. And so, like, before this paragraph, he was, like, setting up intelligence as having a brain. But there are tons and tons of animals and species that don't have brains, or rather, like, they have nerve nets or evolutionary systems for decision-making, which is really crazy to think about. So intelligence doesn't necessarily mean possessing a brain. Blew my mind this morning. Whoa. And there's this really cool explanation that fungi is not just the mushroom caps that you see at the farmer's market or at the store. Fungi is a complex network that includes the mycelium, which is like sort of like that world's neural network, or like, you know, a bunch of Fios cables going everywhere. And so it's able to process information in one location of the mycelium, and that information travels somewhere and around, resulting in a mushroom growing or something decomposing on a log. So it's really fascinating. I'm hoping one day to pick up this book by Merlin Sheldrake, but this is the article if you want to go read it. This is from Scientific American. Poetic mind-bending tour of the fungal world. Yeah, be right back. Gonna train my mushroom to do my job for me. I mean, why not? Sorry, I'm hearing an echo. I'm gonna lower my volume a little bit. Okay, so that's one article I read this morning. So if you have cool articles like this that you want me to share on the stream, totally like DM them to me or tag me when you find them, because I like reading a lot of diverse things, not just food, but like science and weird things in the world, like nature things. So let's start off here with edible Iowa. Excuse me, Iowa River Valley. I was just getting confused with last week's like Ohio River Valley. So Iowa, different geographic location. Celebrating local food across Iowa, number 21 Harvest 2011. You can tell, like, when I was, the full disclosure, I was working for edible magazines. Like, I was the girl at every food event at the table selling these magazines. In 2011, you know, I was working a lot of events. So this is going to be celebrating Iowa wine. And this happens to be after Edible Communities won a James Beard Foundation Publication of the Year, which is cool. You can see that little stamp. Okay, so we've got a really dusky grape on the front cover, which is so cute. It's a good color, like dusky grapes. Okay. So, we've got a local winery advertisement on the front cover. It's not a car. You can see this is high contrast to, you know, Food and Wine and Bon Appetit that we had been looking at before. So, like, local advertisements. They have a table of contents. But usually, so a lot of other magazines will put, like, kind of the friends that they mention or, like, brands that they mention at the back of the issue. But here it's up front. They're able to make that choice, which is cool. Like, when you work with smaller publications, you have a lot more flexibility of where you put things. And so this is a great little list, like a supplemental table of contents. Like, we have, like, oh, you know, these are all the articles. But then they pull out this list of, like, you know, here are all the local companies that you can support. And it kind of goes back to when I was going through the Food and Wine Thanksgiving issue. They had, like, not just the article list in the table of contents, but then another pullout that was like, okay, these are the quick recipes. These are the recipes that only contain vegetables, or these are the, you know. So I like playing with table of contents and, like, reorganizing the information to show something else besides, like, the obvious order of things. Okay. Grist for the Mill. This is the name of their editor's letter. I will read it to you. Yeah, I've never had an Iowa wine either. Oh, yeah, Lucky Cat emote? Or you have a Lucky Cat emote? Nice. Ohio. I think Midwesterners would get mad at me if I just called it Ohio. Just this general middle area here. Hey, that's cool. You made your own emote. I gotta ask Rachel to make emotes for this channel. It'd be good to have Pixel Egg in the chat. I'll ask her. That'd be cool. Dear Eater, we've a jam-packed issue for you this time, dedicated mostly to Iowa wine and the folks who make it. In addition to a quick reference guide to all of Iowa's wineries, you'll find stories here from Tassel Ridge in Layton, Brick Arch in West Branch, Cedar Valley Winery in Batavia, or Batavia, I don't know how to, I don't know where the emphasis is in that word. Cedar Ridge Winery and Distillery in Swisher, and Jasper Winery in Des Moines. And speaking of Des Moines, don't miss our forthcoming winter issue, number 22. La la la. Oh, here. Edible Iowa's newest contributor, Arn Henning, penned the 99, our continuing look at all 99 Iowa counties. Didn't know that. One bite at a time, and this time in Winneshiek. Cool. These are all very, very specific. Please curl up with a nice glass of Iowa wine and dig in. Cute. With relish. From Kurt and Kim. Do you remember when you had to mail, what's it called? Mail magazine subscriptions back to the magazine? This is so, like, it's very dating. We can use it on other channel to make people come here. I wonder if we can raid somebody after this stream. Yeah, we can try raiding. I've never actually raided another stream before. We can try. I think I'll have to go to Creator Studio for that, right? Yeah. Or Creator Dashboard. Yeah. Dope. Can do that. That'd be cool. We'll try it our first time. Let's see. So, Iowa's wineries. This is an alphabetical quick reference guide with towns and websites of all 76 member with towns and websites for those who have them. It sounds crazy to me that a winery wouldn't have a website. 76 member wineries compiled for Edible Iowa by the good folks at Iowa Wine and Beer. Look for these and enjoy wineries as you travel around the state. So, this is very hard to read. This is very, very hard to read. I would want to design something that would be easy to, like, rip out and put, like, on my fridge or, yeah, this is just, the background is just way too dark. You see this? But a cool thought nonetheless, you know? Alphabetical. It just seems, I don't know, I think this could have been better formatted. There are, like, no columns, there's no lines. I just feel like all of this is easily Googleable now, or there could have been, like, a QR code, but I guess QR codes were not popular then. They're still not really popular now, but I don't know. I think it would have been better served as, like, a digital feature rather than a print feature. But still cool. Still cool to have a list. I almost thought this was an advertisement, but it's not. Okay, and then there's a few features on some of the wineries here. Tassel Ridge Blazes Trails in Layton. Ooh, the kerning on this is a little too close. I don't know if you can see this. Like, the words are, like, really, really squished together. Makes it hard to read. When Oskaloosa businessman Bob Werson first considered building a winery back in the late 1990s, he came across some surprising numbers. I discovered after doing a little research that Iowans did not consume much wine. In fact, Iowans consume wine a little more than half the national average. Instead of viewing those statistics as discouraging, Werson saw an opportunity. He had some land and figured it was just a matter of time before wine grew in popularity here at home. He decided to give grape growing a shot. That's fascinating. Werson certainly wasn't the first to plant vines in Iowa. The Iowa Department of Agriculture and Land Stewardship dates the state's industry back to 1857, when grapes were grown near Council Bluffs. Iowa ranked 6th in national production by 1919, and nearly 16 million pounds of grapes were harvested in the industry's peak in 1929. So I wonder why it, like, fell by the wayside in the 50s. Fascinating. Fascinating. I like this little pull-out here. Pairing suggestions from Tassel Ridge Winery. It's like wine-colored. Like, I like that. Capitalize on the unique flavors of Tassel Ridge by pairing them with your favorite dishes. Ooh, American pink catawba with a teriyaki chicken, Cajun dishes, picnic fare, and sushi. Oh, they have really cool names. Candle Glow, Iowa White Blossom. I always like pairing suggestions like this. Pretty cool. Another feature, more white people. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised in 2011. This is Iowa also. But, you know, something that bears repeating every time I do a magazine stream, like the lack of people of color in every printed thing that we've reviewed so far. I'll read you this first paragraph here. It's a balmy Tuesday night in July, and I'm in a pole barn full of John Deere management specialists who have spent the day drafting strategic goals for the 3 plants they oversee in the following locations: Ottumwa, Iowa, Monterrey, Mexico, and Arctic Ray, France. The group gets together once a year, rotating locations, and always try to do something fun in the evenings. This year, they're in Iowa, hailing from all over the U.S., Canada, Mexico, and France. And for fun, well, that's where the wine comes in. Oh, interesting. So, Cedar Valley Winery. They have like a little, what's it called? Conference that they host. Another one here, another featured winery, Up from the Ashes. West Branch's Brick Arc Winery overcomes adversity to help revive Main Street. Let's see. Making wine in Iowa has always been a challenge. From soil that's too darn good to a population that ranks 48th in the nation per capita wine consumption, winemakers in the Hawkeye State face a myriad of obstacles, none quite as daunting as what John McNutt and his wife, Eileen Landis, were facing a little over a year ago. John took the phone call on June 11th, 2010. Earlier in the day, they had finished excavating the property next to the historic old 1907 post office they had purchased in order to create an event space for their new winery. The old post office had collapsed into newly excavated space. Thankfully, no one was hurt. Oh man, what a story. So this is a story of how they recovered and started making wine. And then they have this mint pesto recipe here with spearmint leaves, 3 heads of spring garlic, lime, olive oil, salt, and pepper. Yum. I've never actually liked working with spearmint. I thought it was it reminded me too much of gum. But cool. I mean, yeah, mint pesto works with peas and sheep cheese and pasta. Sounds good. Their local advertisements are so cute. Iowa City Farmers Market, May through October, Wednesdays 5 to 7 p.m. Oh, this is cool. Letter from an Afghanistan farm. Photo and story by Denise O'Brien. This is the second installment of a 4-part series from Iowa farmer Denise O'Brien, who is spending a year as a civilian agricultural consultant at a forward operating base in Afghanistan, teaching sustainable farming techniques to locals and learning a lot herself. Wow! My work back home in Iowa for 30 plus years has been about food and farming. Now that I'm halfway around the world, I'm delighted to hear of the continuing expansion of the infrastructure supporting locally grown produce and meat. Here in Afghanistan, structures supporting local agriculture exist, but not have been fully utilized. This is a very, earnest, look at what it's like when the U.S. military occupies places or liberates places, you know what I mean? As I visit the countryside in eastern Afghanistan, I see the results of 10 years of military presence trying to bring a country into the 21st century. So far, it isn't a picture of success. Agriculture is the main source of income for over 80% of Afghans. While I've been pleasantly surprised by the width and breadth of agriculture in Nangarhar province, improvements in the soil and infrastructure are sorely needed. There's a history of the rivers and irrigation, but Our American tax dollars have been supporting work to improve the Grand Canal. Cash for work problems pay Afghan workers to clean out the canals that have silted in and to line many of them with cement and rock. This has been a fairly successful program. Many villages are taking it upon themselves to do this work without help from the military. Detaching Afghans from the money train that has been in place for a decade is the focus of my work in Afghanistan. Wow. Incredible. Incredible, incredible. Let's see. Military goals have been about spending money without much accountability or oversight. Projects were built in haste without adequate research and did not take need of and ability to maintain into consideration. Consequently, the very infrastructure that we need in Iowa, like cold storage and small meat slaughtering facilities, sit vacant in Afghan villages. Facilities that small Iowa farmers dream about remain unused because there is not adequate electricity to power those projects. Wow. As the military works to develop a safe and secure Afghanistan, billions of dollars have been spent. Unfortunately, or fortunately, the military is not a development agency. Yeah. Nor is it familiar with grassroots organizing. As a consequence, important strategies seeking long-term sustainability have been overlooked. Organizing from the bottom up and not the top down has been drastically missing. Not the military's fault, really. Their work is about security. I think that, yeah. This is a problem. But this is like a really interesting piece and fascinating that a small Iowa publication was able to sort of blow a lid off of this, like, particular perception of what, like, the military work in Afghanistan is doing. So I think that's, like, incredibly progressive. Cool. Moving on. Oh, they have a cute little advertisement for Field to Family Local Foods Festival. I miss festivals. I miss fried foods from a booth. Don't you? They have a calendar of local events, culinary walk, ooh, kids' day at the farmer's market, seed saving. It's very farm-oriented. More local advertisements. Let's see. Jumpin' Jasper. Vineyard is down the road in Jasper County, but the winery is winning raves in the heart of Des Moines. I don't know if I would word it that way. Winning raves. The heart of Des Moines raves about this winery. Anyway. Traveling down Fleur Drive in Des Moines, surrounded by the usual strip malls and convenience stores one finds en route to the airport, you might be surprised to know there is a hidden gem, an oasis from city life, barely off the beaten path. Jasper Winery sits unpretentiously on George Flagg Parkway, just past the Des Moines Waterworks. The drive, bordered with lush grapevines, lends you to an elegant modern structure in which some of Iowa's finest local grapes are turned into an array of sophisticated wines. Wow. Jasper Winery. When you go, they have events. Summer concert series, tasting room. And they have a wine night at Grays Lake Park. Cool. Yeah, fried Twinkies. Yeah. I would totally eat a fried Twinkie. I've had deep fried Oreos, and my dad at the Texas County Fair, or Texas State Fair, excuse me. My dad went to the Texas State Fair, and he got deep fried beer. Hi, Tom. How's it going? They've got an in memoriam here for a local farmer. I collect soil. Owie. Ooh, I got a paper cut, y'all. Oh. Dang. On my middle finger, too. Bob Braverman. I collect soil. On a mantle at home are several samples, one of which is from Friendly Farm, and it smells like healing, the perfect symbol for what Bob Braverman has meant and will continue to mean for a long time to come. To this community that has a very large hole in it. Oh. Yeah. So he outlined some memories here. Thank you, Bob. Your soil mate, Scott Kopke. Soil mate. Oh, buddy. I like that, though, soil mate. More local advertisements. Okay, here's what I mentioned in the editor's letter. This woman is profiling all 99 Iowa counties one at a time. And so this one's called about Winneshiek. Winneshiek Wonders. They say that Winneshiek County's Oneonta Valley is some kind of vortex. People come for a weekend, wedding, college, and the I think I'll stay a little longer feeling hits, and they seemingly never leave. Whoa. Maybe it's the soaring bluffs along the upper Iowa River, or perhaps it's a fantastic art scene or kick-butt mountain bike trails. Oh my god, kick-butt. One thing's for sure, though. Food plays a delicious role in it. Capturing the heart by way of the stomach is a cliche for a reason. It works. And Winneshiek County is definitely after your heart. With only a rough 21,000 people in the entire county, there's a surprising number of great places to chow down. Cute. So yeah, they have like reviews and like what to do in town, even from trails you can hike and all the places you should hit up. Cool. If I find myself in Iowa. Yeah, the magazine did not care for my critique and gave me a paper cut. Ow. Yeah, paper cuts are the worst. And then they have a list of all the places. Like, when you go, hit up all these places. And I love that green. You know I love that green. Almost matches my bottom third here. Overlay. Back of the house. Wine, whiskey, and song. Oh, this is a continuation of the Cedar Ridge review. Okay. And then a book excerpt here in the back, Gathering, a Memoir of a Seed Saver by Diane Ott Wheatley. Very few people in Iowa have had a greater impact on the movement to protect real food other than Diane Ott Wheatley, co-founder of Decora's Seed Saver Exchange, that's seedsavers.org. She's the author of a new memoir detailing a life obsessed with seeds and soil, farm, and family. Diane takes the reader gently by the hand and retraces a journey that began with her great-grandparents emigrated from Dusseldorf, Germany, and settled outside the tiny immigrant enclave of St. Lucas in northeast Iowa. 2 seeds that they carried with them on that journey became the motivation for a life's work in preserving and protecting heirloom seed varieties. They were what became known as the German pink tomato and Grandpa Ott's morning glories. That's cool. I consider myself a pretty big seed saver. Everything that I've been eating, I've been saving the seeds and trying to sprout them. I've had little success. I don't really have a good green thumb. So that was Iowa, Edible Iowa River Valley. This was very like wine focused. I think I prefer more of the food focused ones, but it was a cute look into like, you know, these small areas and what they're excited about. Bye, Lucius. Thanks for swinging by. Next up, this is a heavy buddy. This is Bright Ideas, which is a publication of Seed and Spark, which is a crowdfunding platform for film. I can read you the colophon, which is kind of the explanation of what it is. So already in the beginning, it's all like film industry advertisements. So like wireless video, monitoring, drives, which is totally different from all the, food publications that we've been looking at. Camera bags. Like this is like just a big shot of a forest. Their table of contents is very designy. Not very helpful because the actual content that explains like what's in here is very small compared to the numbers. It's not a lot of function here, but the form is pretty, but I probably would not waste this much space. I mean, this already screams luxury. Here. So, watch films you helped make. So this is an advertisement from Seed and Spark. So when you own the publication, you can put your advertisement anywhere and as much as you want. So movies are better when you help make them at Seed and Spark. Sorry. Oh, this is heavy. The world's first video streaming and crowdfunding website just for film. Filmmakers list exactly what they need to get their movies made. You contribute cash or loan items to provide campaigns with whatever most interests you. Wardrobe, equipment, special effects. And when you support exciting campaigns, you earn sparks, reward points you can redeem to watch a fast-growing library of the very best independent film. So I do like that it's, you know, it's a company that supports independent film, but at the same time, yes, it's still a company, you know? So they have, that kind of shapes the perspective of what this magazine is. Because essentially, they do have a statement about what this magazine is for, but essentially, it is to support a money-making endeavor, like the company. Not the films themselves, but like a company. But it doesn't make me feel as bad about some of the other advertisements that we've been seeing, you know? Like, it's not faceless. This one definitely has faces that are associated with it. And so there's, like, advertisements for film festivals. Okay, here's the masthead, which explains. Bright Ideas is a trademarked subsidiary of Seed and Spark Inc., and it is published twice annually. Twice annually is not very often. I mean, this is a heavy buddy. No portion of this magazine, blah, blah, blah. Issue number 5, this is what I'm holding, is available at the Sundance, Slamdance, True False, South by Southwest, San Francisco International, Aspen, and Tribeca Film Festivals, as well as on national newsstands in the Ace Hotels, downtown Los Angeles, Portland, and New York. Bright Ideas, blah, blah, blah. So that's really interesting. So this is exclusively, I mean, it is on magazine stands, but not all of them. And they rely mostly on a distribution at film festivals, airports, and hotels, which are all suffering greatly during the pandemic. So this is from, what year is this? Winter and Spring, Volume 3. It doesn't say the date. Y'all? Why don't you say the date? That's a big oversight. They should have the date obvious. I feel crazy. I don't see a date. Oh, 2016. Oh boy, year of the election. Oh, we had so much hope. Yeah, all dates will now be referenced by magazine volume. Got an advertisement for Tribeca Film Festival, Slamdance. So this is sort of the letter to the editor, but it's like very long, and I think that a letter to the editor should be short, but because this only comes out twice a year, they're taking a lot of liberty here. And he kind of tells this guy, James Kalin, who's the editor, explains the way the magazine came together. On August 14th, 2013, 6 weeks after starting Seed and Spark, I sent an email to our CEO and Bright Ideas future publisher, Emily Best. Ooh, women-led. Nice. In it, I laid out a patently insane idea. What if our fledgling startup, at a time when we hardly had the money to cover payroll, launched an aggressively independent print publication about American film? To build a community of innovators, I posited, we will profile the people innovating in accordance with our values. We will create genuinely cool, vital, and intelligent content for and about the people we want to read our work, and with whom we want to work. Yeah. I mean, it's a good intent, but also, like, so privileged, you know? Going to a startup and being like, hey, let's start a publication, and we're going to put it on heavyweight paper. It's going to be like hundreds of pages and only distribute at film festivals. Goodness. Yeah, it's not the best financial decision, especially in 2016 when everything was pivoting to video. I mean, I do admire the thought. I mean, print is still not dead, I would say, but perhaps not smart to start, you know, a big production when everybody's pivoting to video. I would say that it's kind of evening out now. I think print is coming back a little bit more, but I mean, I guess they addressed this problem by only publishing it twice a year. You know, they didn't commit to a weekly or a monthly. So that's a lot more manageable when you stretch out the timeline. Like, I can even say, like, put an egg on it, when we were publishing heavily, we were doing quarterly, and then, you know, as we ramped up distribution, we had to scale it back to biannual. So Put an Egg on It is currently on hold, so, because we had to close our studio, but we're still a magazine, whatever. But yeah, understanding the workload, like, there's so much that goes into making a print magazine that you kind of forget how much time to budget. But anyway, so this is still the opening letter from Bright Ideas. Yeah, we're just hibernating. That's a good way to put it. Oh my gosh. To a number of our investors and even a new founding employees of the company, your enthusiasm smacked of impulsiveness. I mean, the fact that you even had investors, it's crazy. Okay, here. I think this point that he makes in the letter to the editor is pretty interesting. We were only just coming to the realization that Seed and Spark was an independent film ecosystem. We already had empirical proof that our core competency, crowdfunding, provided diligent creators a path to financing. We had, in a sense, solved funding. I wouldn't say completely, but in their world, they solved funding. But crowdfunding is only sustainable in the long term if filmmakers can hold on to and grow their crowd. To develop a true ecosystem in which creators and audiences coexist and co-sustain, we somehow needed to test out publicly and transparently a series of wild ideas and approaches. If Seed and Spark was the factory, Bright Ideas, this magazine that I'm holding, needed to be the R&D department. Okay. And then they announced that in addition to doing this, they're going to start producing actual films, which is crazy. Okay, the goal of Seed and Spark and Bright Ideas isn't to establish a new hierarchical system where we choose what succeeds. I kind of admire this paragraph. Our goal is to experiment, study our successes and failures, and pass that information on to our community. True independence, here we go, isn't about reconsolidating power and influence. It's about keeping the power in the hands of creators themselves. In a truly sustainable independent film ecosystem where filmmakers can access capital and audiences through crowdfunding and then distribute their films to those audiences without acquiescing to their ownership, someone must constantly challenge the citizenry to stay ambitious. If Seed and Spark is the great leveler of independent film, giving content creators the tools to build their careers without having to ask permission, Bright Ideas is the experimental laboratory hell-bent on fostering innovation and excellence. I mean, while I agree with a lot of what he's saying, this is still a publication owned by a company. It is not independent. As much as they say they are, this is still something funded by a company. So just keep that in mind, you know, like always look to where the money is coming from when you're looking at like any projects or publications and decide whether or not you want to trust that. So I do support the things he's saying, but still skeptical because it came from like this hierarchical thing that he is so railing against. Kind of murky, but you know, it's a shaky moral ground. Then we have an advertisement for South by Southwest Film. But I haven't been to South by Southwest in years. They have a really big photo feature, the ensemble of Chad Hartigan's Morris from America. So look at all this space. There's so much white space. Look at all that luxurious space. And just the challenging graphic design. Like you wouldn't see that in a food magazine. Or at least a commercial one. So this is cool. They did like a portrait series with the cast of a movie. You recognize him from Hot Tub Time Machine, right? They got quotes above each portrait. I think this is a cool way to use print to advertise for a film thing. You know? An experiment in virtual reality. That's the title here. And this is a really cool... So the title of the piece is called The Visitor. But it is a feature of... So this was written by the person who wrote the letter to the editor. So this is from the editor, James Kalin, and a co-writer, Blessing Yen. So we know that. So this is Immersive 1, shot on location at Robert Stone's Acido Dorado. So what this is really interesting format. So it's a part script and photo shoot merged together. I think this is really cool. It's like cinematic without being a movie. Because you're pairing beautiful visuals with action, but not showing action, you know? Like, I think that's a really cool way to think about filmmaking. I really like this feature. I mean, it is a lot of wasted space, but it's a cool format. Really, really cool. This is a fun fact. Like, I grew up in California, and my freshman high school English teacher, Mr. Davis, instead of teaching us how to write essays right away, he, because we lived in Southern California, he taught us how to write scripts and screenplays. Because he thought, like, you know, there's going to be a percentage of you that are going to stay here in California and perhaps may write the next big movie or the next big TV show. And so I learned how to write scripts before I learned how to write essays. So that's kind of why I think it really bled into the way that I process the world. Everything in the world to me is pretty, like, cinematic, and so I find ways to, like, describe exactly what I'm seeing. So I thought that was a really cool move on my English teacher's part. Okay, so it goes on. Oh, so it actually was a film, but presented in a totally different way. So The Visitor made its world premiere in the Slam Dance Film Festival's inaugural Dig slate, coming to the Weaver app spring 2016. Has anyone ever heard of Weaver? W-E-V-R? WeVR, sorry. This was the year, okay, so this is the year I went to Sundance, and I would say a lot of VR companies were trying to make presence there, and a lot of tech companies were trying to sink their teeth into Sundance. And so there were a lot of, like, after parties or, like, you know, VIP, like, party events where people were trying to shove VR in your face and, like, trying to, you know, square peg round hole, like, trying to hoist VR onto every single cinematic experience. I think it's probably improved by now, but back then it was still dizzying and didn't really make sense. Like, people were trying to make money off of it, off the film, like VR in the film industry, like in 2016. And I think the tech had a long way to go. Oh, you knew people who worked there. Whoa, crazy. I guess that makes sense because you make VR games. But yeah, it was fascinating. Like, Samsung had the hugest booth, and you'd have to wait in line, and you get ushered into a room. Like, every 15 minutes there's like a show, and then everybody got different shows. I got like an Iggy Azalea concert, and I was like, I don't even like this artist. I was like, can I change mine? And the person that I was with at the time had the VR headset, and when the session was over, everybody had left their chairs, but he was still in his chair, like, really, like, enjoying it. It's funny. The Forsaken Son. This is a very big spread. Seeking peace in Rodrigo Garcia's last days in the desert. Wow. Look at how much space this feature takes up. Look at it. Crazy. This is a movie starring Ewan McGregor. One vicious windy day, as Yeshua takes refuge beneath a bush, dehydrated and alone, the sand and dust stinging his eyes, he begins to laugh. Then, like a brittle twig, his peel snaps into a long, tortured scream. The Son of God is lost. Photographed by Emmanuel Chivo Lubezki, with natural light against the stunning backdrop of the Anza Borrego Desert, Rodrigo Garcia's last days in the desert follows Christ, played by Ewan McGregor, fasting, praying, and working as a stonemason in the weeks before his crucifixion. Garcia, who wrote the film as his father, the deified novelist Gabriel Garcia Marquez, was dying, turns a potentially fantastical story into a deeply personal one about doubt, altruism, and the chasm between the intention and expression of a father's love. Wow, so this is like a giant photo spread of Ewan McGregor. Ewan McGregor as Jesus. Jesus in crisis. Wow. Look at... So when you have money for a publication, you can do stuff like this. This is crazy. This is a big spread. Look at him. Look at Ewan McGregor. I didn't know that he was in this movie. I didn't know about this movie at all. Wow, what a shot. Look at this. You remember going to an Oculus event at Sundance? Yeah. We got an advertisement for, oh my gosh, the National Endowment of the Arts, RIP. This is sad. Okay, so the National Endowment of the Arts was a huge source of money for an organization that I'm associated with, The Tank. Like, we applied for grants from them every year and got like a little bit of money, but in 2016, after the election, gone. Our budget was cut. The NEA was no longer able to disperse money to artists, and actually Kickstarter, the year after that, surpassed dispersal to artists over the National Endowment of the Arts, like, which is so crazy. We need to support arts organizations. Ooh. This was a really crazy feature. I've never heard of this filmmaker before. His name is Mike Ott. But this is about how he only shoots movies in the Antelope Valley, which is where I'm from. Like, I'm always constantly shocked when anyone is from the Antelope Valley. Because the way that I describe it, I mean, I'm a person of color, and it is a very white, conservative, military town. And so, I'm always surprised that anything good or creative ever comes from it. I mean, it's like a pressure cooker, though, right? Yes, we are talking about zines. We're looking at Bright Ideas, which is a publication of Seed and Spark. But he talks about why he films in the Antelope Valley, and I kind of agree with this, like, and I get it. He makes, like, mumblecore movies, and there's a certain weirdo charm about the Antelope Valley. There's a lot of, definitely a lot of weirdos. That's what isolation does to people. And so he usually casts people who are not professional actors. They come from the desert. And I can tell you since I'm from a desert town, like, there are a lot of weirdos. And I guess he's, capitalizing on the weirdness of the Antelope Valley, which, I mean, I guess good for you. But it can be ugly, it can be dirty, it can be sad, which is not my preferred type of movie, but But fascinating that they decided to do a feature on the Antelope Valley. No, I will not start over. Okay. Let's see. Moving on. So far, we're halfway through. Again, no people of color in the print photos of this. They had Ewan McGregor as Jesus, who is white as can be. We have interview with Dylan Jalula, who is an actress. So it makes sense that, this is a magazine about film. And so far, we've looked at a few actors, we've looked at a director, we've seen some beautiful locales, and so this is like a direct interview with this. She kind of bills herself as an anti-actress. Makes sense. Yeah, white people playing not white people is not a great look. This girl, like, her interview is very dark. So in 5th grade, we were allowed to choose our favorite poem and recite it from memory at an in-class party in front of everyone and their families. I chose a poem by Dorothy Parker about methods of suicide and their downsides. Girl, you... okay. This sounds very like, California, I'm suffering. I'm very much untrained and therefore sort of messy in my acting, which I like in other actors. I can appreciate that. Degrees of imperfections and spontaneity, to me, sell the illusion that is what they're feeling is real. I'm constantly saying out loud to my television, I don't believe you. This is funny. Yeah, something about... Oh, here. A young woman trying to find value in her acting, it seems. Jalula has nothing to be embarrassed about. Come January, I remind her, she could be the face of an important breakout hit. As I say this, her face assumes a look of pure horror, and she hides behind her hands. Dear God, she says, I hope not. Okay. More advertisements. Haunting the margins. Signs of life in the wastelands of above and below. Swiss-born filmmaker Nicholas Steiner grew up in the alpine village of Valais, where during high school he worked as a gravedigger. Oh my God. Later he served as a percussionist in the military. After receiving a Fulbright scholarship, he moved to San Francisco, where he dedicated himself to analog photography and developing board games. What? Who is this person? His first feature, Above and Below, unfolds simultaneously in a squatters' camp erected in the vast tunnel network beneath Las Vegas, on the shores of the lifeless Salton Sea and in the high red rock desert of Utah, where researchers are preparing for an expedition to Mars. As surreal in parts as Herzog's Fata Morgana, as spiritual in its ambitions as Jorodowski's The Holy Mountain, Steiner's documentary is at both nihilistic and deeply hopeful. Wow. I didn't know there were underground tunnels in Las Vegas. Wow. Look at that. I love magazines too. I bet he was that guy that did take his high school dates to the cemetery, for sure. Okay. What else is next in this? The Handmaiden of the Lord. Look at this. Look at this feature photo. There's a lot of Jesus talk in this. Heresy, Heatstroke, and the Insurgent Feminism of Cecilia Ralston Halls. A dialogue-free, expressionistic reimagining of Mary's imperiled journey through the desert to deliver Jesus. Ma is the sort of film, on paper, seems dauntingly self-serious and oppressive, but full of humor, horror, explosive movement, and exquisite painterly compositions. Ma moves swiftly from one emotional and aesthetic revelation to the next. And still, unsurprisingly, some conservative audiences have found the work too provocative to tolerate. Interesting. So look at these photos. Wow. Beautiful. This is from the cover story. This is the cover story, I mean. So she's kind of this is like more of like a dance film. There's like no dialogue. And they tell the history of this actress's dancing career. Ooh, I won't read that. Okay. So what is next here? Rehearsing John Cassavetes' 3 plays of love and hate. This is a look back. So, so not only are they showcasing independent film, they're also looking back at influential film and like kind of behind the scenes of how a lot of these movies came together. Peter Falk listening intently at rehearsal. Man, there's a lot of white people in this. What else? We're nearing the end here of this magazine. I mean, these are some great photos. Looking for Dr. Strangelove. Will there be an iconic black comedy for the war on terror? Oh my. Okay. Here's a excerpt from a script. It says, Strangelove says, "Yes, but the whole point of the Doomsday Machine is lost if you keep it a secret. Why didn't you tell the world, eh?" And Disadesky says, "It was to be announced at the Party Congress on Monday. As you know, the premiere loves surprises." This exchange from Stanley Kubrick's Dr. Strangelove, in addition to several others in the film, reveals the script's core comic premise, the chasm that exists in an era of nuclear holocaust between the mundane, petty, foolish nature of human motives set against the cataclysmically devastating consequences of our actions. Okay. That's a huge analysis of Dr. Strangelove. Wow. Okay. Oh, here's a big quote here. Big pull-out quote. Films like The Hurt Locker, Zero Dark 30, American Sniper, and Lone Survivor, by honoring the legitimate sacrifices of good people, let our policymakers and us off the hook. Some films can also almost become a pornography of honor, with the violence on our side always portrayed as righteous, and the grief we feel always interpreted as a testament to our virtue. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I think this is the final big piece in here. Unicorns in the Wild, on women, genius, and the workplace of filmmaking. Why wasn't this feature further up in the magazine? I would have loved to see this feature sooner in the magazine. Because there have been interviews with women, but I think this is such an impactful piece. It's a shame that it's at the end. Let's see. I've always loved how softly Mira Menon calls action. There's a quality of firmness without aggressiveness to her tone when she initiates a scene. She reminds me how to get things done without raising one's volume. Her authority as a director of Farrago's Bang, which I co-wrote and produced, and the upcoming Equity premiering at Sundance 2016, has nothing to do with volume. People listen to her because they want to hear what she has to say. Fast forward. It's actually Mira who first made me question the hierarchical, paramilitaristic structure of the film production workplace. She doesn't love hierarchical modes of power. "I think it's important to swing your dick around sometimes," she quips in an email, "but I try to unzip only when it's completely and totally necessary." She also points out that the origins of filmmaking's paramilitary mode lay partially in the soldiers returning from war who crewed the sets of 1940s and 50s Hollywood. In other words, the paramilitary of film production is the male heir of the actual military. As such, there's misogyny, a deep, pervasive exclusion of women, inherent to both structures. There are 2 ways to repair deep corruption. You perform complex, intensive surgery from within the broken structure, or you throw it out and build a new one. Some women filmmakers are constructing a new system. Some women filmmakers are performing the surgery. These endeavors will prove to be, I think, equally revolutionary and equally Herculean tasks. Wow. Okay. As the public conversation toward pay equality, leadership parity, and fair representation for women in TV and film gains some momentum, I think that the conversation must also account for what kind of workplace culture women are capable of creating from their positions of leadership. But because women in positions of real leadership and influence in film remain, well, unicorns in the wild, we still lack a certain female narrative, a certain kind of war story, a certain body of evidence, a workplace story. What kind of professional culture do women leaders create in film? What does a set run by women look like, sound like, feel like? What kind of collaborative experiences happen along the way to getting women's stories on camera? And what the fuck is the point of hiring women? The point is not to argue that women do it this way, men do it that way. The point is the desire to know, in a set and production context, what matriarchal power structure can be. The business of film is one of inventing worlds, and I am in pursuit of what it feels like to live, to work, even for a moment, in a world run by women. This is good. This is a good intro. And we do sort of, now we know what it looks like when women run sets. So, like, what's her name? Olivia Wilde, when she directed, what's that teen movie? Booksmart. That was wildly successful and run by women. Or Reese Witherspoon starting a production company and then starting Big Little Lies. That is also another picture of success with women-led productions. It's pretty cool. I mean, I'm sure I know more independent productions. I do know a great handful of women filmmakers, if you want to check them out. Angeline Gregasin, Ariel Kavusi, Caroline Gollum, who else? I can't do these off the top of my head. I'll have to, like, scour through my notes, but yeah, this is a great, like, rallying cry. How it feels to exist. There's these different, like, vignettes of essays here. In praise of difficult women, it's nice to be nice, but there's plenty of essentialist danger in suggesting that gentleness, accommodation, and nurturing are either A, endemically feminine qualities, or B, the most valuable quantities to advance in the political theater of the film set. In such a high-pressure environment, toughness is equally essential to establishing credibility. But then, and as in all things, the highly gendered vocabulary of power comes into play. Wow. As it relates to gender and authority, Sarah Gertrude Shapiro, the co-creator of Unreal, tells me she is hyper-aware of a vocabulary that's really prejudiced against women. She maintains a basic respect for the paramilitary structure in which she prioritizes communicating as clearly and as plainly as possible without passive aggression or pandering. When I'm directing, it's really important that I spend zero time thinking about if anyone likes me. There is like a little language here about, where is it? I found a quote here that I wanted to read to you. Oh, here. The actress Brita Wool, most recently of Lifetime's breakout hit Unreal, reads a lot of casting notices in pursuit of a girl next door type. As a woman, when I read Girl Next Door, she observes, it instantaneously means I exist in the eyes of some random neighborhood male kid who I may not have talked to. My entire existence is the gaze of some random kid down the block. The random kid who may not actually exist is more potent than my actual existence. If a character doesn't exist to a writer, she won't exist to a director. And the minor and major acts of erasure domino onto there. Erasure can determine how actors are treated. A woman who does not exist, unseen, unheard, can be paid less and harassed more. The potency of the male gaze also undermines Wool's creatively. It becomes this really weird headfuck. As an actor, I'm hired to exist. But a lot of the scripts I get and roles I'm asked to create actually require me not to exist. That's something to consider. Wow, this is such a great piece. So, oh, and then the final feature here, there's not really a sign-off in this magazine. I've noticed, like, in pretty much all the food magazines that we've looked at, or ones that are like serial in like weekly or monthly cadence, there's always like this last page, like last word, like fun little stinger. But this one doesn't have one because I think it relates to the fact that this magazine only comes out twice a year. But this is a really fun one the way that it ends. It's like pretty good. 1-star review. Indie movies fucking suck. Vitriol curated by Ty Foster. So this is another fun example of print magazines trying to include internet content. So these are just big, blown out quotes of 1-star reviews of indie movies. I'll read you a few of them. I loved 2 things about this movie. A super cool car. And it has the most adorable cat ever. And was happy he got a cast credit. Some of the music is good, the non-electronic stuff. Oh, I just noticed Elijah Wood is executive producer. That explains why I had no plot and generally sucks. It looks like it was filmed around Bakersfield, California, which explains the emptiness. Oh my god. I applaud the concept. The first rule of storytelling is to have a dang story. Here's hoping the director's next attempt will get it right. And then at the bottom it says, 5 out of 14 members found this review helpful. This got a 1-star review? My god. They liked 2 things about this movie. What movie is that? If it's Elijah Wood as producer, filmed in a desert. This is the second mention of Southern California, like the area where I'm from. I guess that makes sense. A lot of people in Southern California are familiar with the desert because it's an hour away. Another IFC stinker. I should check the genres before I rent a movie and make sure I don't get any more IFC garbage. Oh man, IFC's great. What are you talking about? Oh no, this person is commenting on the looks of the actress. And you would think they could put a prettier girl in the lead female role. I mean, Rooney Mara was okay for the girl with the dragon tattoo series because the girl wasn't supposed to be pretty. Are you kidding me? What is this? Insidious. This one's all caps. Absolutely the worst film ever. Major time used to show repeated sexual acts between the two. For what reason? Lots of dark lighting video. Big deal. Teacher sleeps with student. She has to see the principal. The worst film. 6 out of 22 members found this review helpful. It's very funny. I just want to know what happened to the dog after it got hit by the car. If you can enjoy the word bruh, this movie is for you. I mean, yeah, people suck, for sure, but recontextualizing these, 1-star reviews of independently made film kind of empowers us and comforts us to go on, right? Like, how crappy of a person do you have to be to insult indie movies? Like, do you understand how little money, sometimes they have? And, independent film is such a great genre and category and art practice. Like, if you had the time to insult independent film, you gotta do something else with your life. Like, what is that? I don't get it. But that's the end of this, and then it ends with the theater at the Ace Hotel advertisement. And in the very beginning, they disclosed that this magazine is distributed at Ace Hotels. So, this is a very well put together magazine. It was curated well. I would maybe rearrange a few things, like me as an editor in 2020. Like, I would move the feminist piece to the front and have more people of color in the photos. But I would say this is a fitting publication for a company that works in the film community. Like, the advertisements were not off base. Like, the demographic is definitely, people who make things. So there were both nonprofit and commercial organization memberships in here. There was technology. There was events that you could go to, in 2016. There were film festivals. There were workshops. So I think that this was, really well thought out. But again, my skepticism still, stands because it's from a company and there's a lot of, slight conflict of interest. placing your own company's advertisements in it, like exchanging ads with people who are distributing your magazine. I mean, that's how publications have to survive, when you don't have a lot of money. But I feel like this publication in particular has a lot of money. But I liked it. I mean, I will remain critical about all publications that come my way, but I would say this was a positive experience. And now I have like a list of like independent films that I want to go see. Oh, speaking of independent films, I just shared a link yesterday on Twitter. I believe the name of the filmmaker is named Jessica Goss, Goss, and she has a short film. It's only 7 minutes. It's called Failing Up. And I don't want to tell you anything about it. I think you should just watch it going blind. It's only 7 minutes, and it's set in New York City, and immediately, like not even 30 seconds into the film, I recognized the soundtrack. It's from a famous movie, and at first you're like, oh, this is hilarious. But then as the movie goes on, you start to realize what these buildings she's shooting in the movie, what they mean and what they imply, and then putting it together with the soundtrack. You kind of put it, it's like a mental puzzle, as you're like a 7-minute long mental puzzle, and you're like, wait a minute. And you're like, oh. So I highly recommend it. It's called Failing Up. It's on Vimeo by Jessica Goss. And it's political. I've been getting increasingly louder and more political over the last 6 months. I mean, wouldn't you be radicalized by what's happening to us? But yeah, that's my film recommendation for today. And if you like independent movies or like short films, like I love watching them because I don't have a huge attention span. I mean, I'm surprised that I'm like doing streams that are over an hour long, but let's I know Lucius is gone, but I want to try rating another channel for the first time. I've never done that. Do you guys know anyone who is streaming right now? Okay. Oh, you know what? Let's raid the Cyber Tank. So the Cyber Tank is the Twitch channel for a nonprofit that I'm on the board of. They're an independent theater here in New York City. I don't know exactly what they are streaming right now, but it'd be great if you could stick around for just a minute and just say hello to their chat with me. Yeah, no, let's go to the theater stream. Let's go raid the theater stream. So when we get in there, just like say hello. We're sending audience from... Oh, hey, Lucius is here. Let's go raid the tank. The tank is online right now. Cool? Yeah, let's go over there and just say hi. Coming from Jenn's stream, and like share some emotes. And you can stick around and watch if you want to. It might be theater stuff. It might be comedy. Or it might be puppetry. The Tank is a really cool organization. If you don't know them, you should follow them. But let's try this, okay? Okay, thanks for watching, everybody, and let's go raid the Tank. Just hold on to your butts. Click the thing. Let's do it! Did I do it? Okay, click the thing that says raid now.
Bunch of stupid statistics about sports and elections. Even they are writing articles like, should our model account for the fact that maybe the election will be contested, right? So I understand why your 22-year-old brother was like, I think this could be the end of the world. But what does he do about it? He's like, oh, you know what? There's a way that I could spend money to make money off of this. That was his move. His move was like, wait a minute. Because of a bunch of weird abstracted financial maneuvers that don't make any sense and don't grow the economy at all, it's actually possible for me to try to make money on the fact that I think the world is going to end. And all I have to do is buy a bunch of index funds and sell them short. And then, as the fire overtakes our once great nation, I'll just have more money than I did, when I started out as a hip-hop beat artist on SoundCloud who went to school in upstate New York, just in time for my 23rd birthday. That's what your stepbrother tried to do. And it didn't work. It didn't work because numbskull, people who are better at money than you, had figured out that they can be making the money from the plate world. And so they got it first. And that's why the stock market did well instead of doing bad. Don't you see? Like, Jeff Bezos is the one who made the billions off of the end of the world. What are you going to do about it? You got to work a little bit harder if you want to profit off of the apocalypse, right? You can't just sort of put in another day in the GarageBand SoundCloud workstation and then sell some stock short and then be rich for the apocalypse. You can't do that. You got to invent Amazon and then make it impossible for your workers to unionize and then do a bunch of other shit that we're not supposed to know about, and then you got to sue a bunch of people to prevent them from releasing your dick pics. That's another thing Jeff Bezos did. You're not anywhere near any of those things, bro. You gotta just make up your mind. Make up your mind. Is it a sweet call of hip-hop beats on GarageBand, or do you have what it takes to really make money off of the apocalypse like the big boys? But no more half measures. Okay, sorry. I missed a lot of
yeah, there's some sort of insurrection happening in the chat.
Oh, there is? There's an insurrection.
I don't know what's going on.
Wait, who is this? Who is this guy? Lucius Quack, I'm sorry that I missed your comments in real time because I was in the middle of a ring. I was making fun of some guy's stepbrother. This is not a recording. This is a live stream where I write emails to strangers. You could give me an email address. I'll write an email to your BFF, Lucius. Sorry for not being able to pay attention to you earlier. And then look at this. This person was like, yeah, he emails people from the show, LOL. I don't know who you are either. Who are you? Who came in and explained what my show is?
She answers that question somewhere down here.
Oh, really? I'm so behind.
Yeah, look at this. No, that one. This one.
Oh, whoa, you're from the tank board. Cool. Well, you should know that I've been reading your harassment policies very closely, sharing them with my co-stars, and demanding their compliance. As you as a member of the tank board. Good, thank you. Cool.
Is Colin on the board? He's my conduit to the tank. Is he a board member? Is he like the president?
Yeah, okay, urgent question. Is Colin on the board of the tank? This is from Jeff, so ASAP, please. In the meantime, I have to write an email to this kid's stepbrother. And there was some more information from Mill about this. What was he telling us?
I think you got most of it.
No, there was another thing. Oh, but no, I am 7 years older. Got it. That's what I was looking for. 7 years older, and then look at this. Affirmative. I've said this before. Mill, when I say something, and then you type a comment, and in response to what I just said, I have no idea what you're talking about. Okay? So this comment here, affirmative, and this comment here, probably, and this comment here, ha, all this are useless. And you should really be contextualizing your comments for my benefit, otherwise they're meaningless. Got it, okay. Oh, look at this. If you listen closely, my favorite people in the comments are people who don't really participate, but then show up and say a simple thing that reveals they've been paying attention the whole time. Workers of the world. Absolutely.
Right, no, that was in response to this, which now that he mentions that, of course, Colin does say that every time he comes out. If you want to, I just haven't absorbed it.
Yeah, but it still goes to show.
Sorry, email fan.
Email Pro apologizes to Email Fan. You've bested us once more. Okay, cool. Colin is not on the board, but a huge part of the org. That almost rhymes. Colin's not part of the board, but a huge part of the org. You know what I would do?
He could be a part of the Borg.
You know what I would do? I would put a rhyme like that into one of, if I was working on some sick trip-hop beats, I would put a lyric like that in it. And I could then momentarily obscure the fact